about that, folks? Woo! That's a hot show. Please welcome out the writer and director, Dan Gilroy, and the star of Roman J. Israel Esquire, Denzel Washington. Well, congratulations to you both. That is a heck of a picture. I mean, just fantastic. Where did it come from? Where did the story come from?
I'm old enough to remember the 60s, and I remember millions and millions of people committed to different causes and fighting for things, and it's just seemed over the decades many of them sort of filtered away, and I was always interested in the idea of somebody who stayed on the battlefield and never left, and what the cost of that might be.
And what attracted you to this part?
Dan. Obviously, and thank you, wrote a brilliant script. You know, if it ain't on the page, it ain't on the stage. And it was as simple as that. I read it, and I knew Dan's work, and we talked about it a lot. And
I flew to New York. We met for a lunch.
That's right. That's right.
And an hour in, you stuck your hand out and you
Is
said,
that
let's
right?
do this movie.
Well,
and there's not a lot of people you can trust to do that, but
Well,
I trusted you.
All right. There
I'm
you
glad
have
I
it.
did.
How is the collaboration? I mean, it's such a lived-in character. I mean, you really feel that he's real.
I can fill in a couple of spaces. Starting from that lunch, that was a year before we started shooting. We had many discussions going into it. And then in pre-production and the downstairs, our production designer set up a recreation of Roman's apartment. With the recliner, the music. So for over a month, we would meet every day and we would go through the records and put on songs and we would talk. And it was really discussions about the character, about the script, and certain things just started to get revealed. There was a very deep collaboration that continued through shooting, through post-production, which Denzel was very much involved in, and it's a collaboration that I think is very, very evident on what we see.
He's challenged in his own beliefs and the chance of success, and he has to decide. And I'm interested in that sort of, that exploration of that.
The film for me, and I think the film through our discussions very much came down to the idea of the burden and blessing of believing in something, and the importance of believing in something greater than yourself, how truly important that is, and what can happen when that gets let go, and the struggle to try to get back to that, the deep struggle, because it becomes a spiritual battle ultimately, the spiritual nature of what drives you and wakes you up in the morning, and the loss of that. And Roman is somebody who I said I never left the front lines. And because of that, he is out of his time. And I think Carmen Ejogo's character, Maya, says it very clearly. We stand on people like this' shoulders. This is a character, for me, it was somebody you could walk by in the street and not really give a second look. And it's true of all of us. And not knowing the gifts, not knowing the struggle, not knowing the contributions that the person could make.
It's a dramatic transformation physically in the film. As an actor, I mean, how is it difficult to go in that direction? I mean, you've
No, that direction's easy. It's difficult now. The other direction's.
The idea of standing on the shoulders of what happened in the 60s seems so relevant in the time. Do you read the film that way? Do you see how it connects with what modern day?
We've landed there. It was not the intent. I started writing this several years ago, and it's not really about the label of where you land on the political spectrum. It's really ultimately about, do you believe in something, and what is the cost of that, and what is the blessing of that, and what happens when you lose that. I think anybody who hears the call to do more will see themselves in the character, regardless of where they are, politically or otherwise.
Did you write this specifically for Denzel?
After Nightcrawler, I had the idea, and Denzel came to mind, and I wrote it on spec for almost a year. And I knew there was only one person who could do it, and if he didn't do it, if he didn't shake my hand, I was going to have to put it away.
Glad I shaked your hand.
And thank you, God, you didn't make me do that. It was a risk. It was a gamble. But I felt very strongly about the material, and I felt very, very strongly that Denzel was the only person who could do it.
The relationship between director and star, how much do you have to trust each other to get it all right?
Denzel Washington trusted me, my second film. To me, that's an enormous amount of trust. I had to reciprocate that trust. I felt I had done my work, I'd written the script. My biggest job was to create an environment that he could create in, and to allow him to create. And we did deeply trust each other. You were all, actually, once we started shooting, you were ahead of me on the character. And I was often playing catch up on the character. And you were doing things that I couldn't exactly see where they were going, but I started to see them build. And I didn't feel inclined in any way to harness it or ask questions or to shape it in any way. It was going where it felt right to go. We deeply trust each other. And it's only gotten stronger.
And how much was on the page? Like, how much of your character was written and how much is what you developed?
It starts on the page, you know, and it leads you somewhere, hopefully.
I wrote the script, but Denzel is the author of bringing it to life. There is just myriad nuance and important characters and traits and line readings and line changes. So it was a very deep collaboration from start to finish.
Is this a message film for you?
No, I don't believe it's a message film. I think it's whatever you personally take out of it. I'd love for people to ask questions. I don't think we're here to give answers. I think the spirit that I was going for was one of tolerance. That we have more, as Romans says at the end, you know, we're all formed of frailty and error. Let's not judge, and certainly let's not judge until we start judging ourselves. And once we really see where we are, let's have compassion for the people around us, and just to be more tolerant and to be more aware of human dignity and the spirit. And again, that's one of the reasons why I cast Denzel. I always see in his performances, and as I've gotten to know him, he's a man who's committed to certain things. And they're unwavering. I believe the things that he's committed to should be unwavering. And I know Roman's character very much exhibits that. And it's the idea of finding, as George says, something that wakes you up in the morning, whatever that is to you.
His whole life is dedicated to that belief that change is very possible. It's one legal brief away from changing everything. I mean, that's an incredibly hopeful idea, you know, that it can be changed like that.
Roman believes, I think, in what the world could be and not what it is. And that is in many ways the essence of faith. It's in the belief in something that's the unseen and not in front of you, and what's possible.
Does a character stay with you after a film like this? Is this someone who lives on?
I like
with you?
Roman.
Yeah.
I could actually say that. I look at this film and I go, man, I like that guy. I don't say that much, and not like this. It's just something I don't know if it means I step out of it or whatever, but every time I look at it, I go. So it was weird tonight because I haven't looked at it with an audience. So I was sitting on the side, and it was hard to watch because I was hoping they like him too, you know. But
did you like him, folks?
No, I'm not. You know, Dan is a very, very talented filmmaker and writer and director, and he and Robert Elswit told it. Yeah, they really told the story, and you know, it's a collaboration, and it starts with the page, or it starts with his imagination.
Well, it is a remarkable film, and I can't thank you both enough for bringing us here. Thank you so much.
Very welcome.
Thank you very much for coming.
Folks, make sure you tell everyone you know and several people you don't to go see this when it comes out. Thank you again, gentlemen.